Now, interestingly enough, when we talk about verification, and again, the scientific community has been quite outspoken. I'm sure you've seen everything, you've read what's going on. I did an interview with Avi Rubin, Johns Hopkins computer scientist, and he's been very outspoken about the security of the machines, and he says that, he's asked to examine the Diebold machines, and that you've refused. And my question to you is, should independent computer scientists be able to view the machines just so as actually a show of voter confidence that there are no issues related to them?
That's not my decision to make. I don't have the source code other than through an escrow agent. It belongs to Diebold. And we do make them escrow it in Maryland with an escrow agent, so that if anything happened to Diebold, for example, if they went out of business, we would have access to the source code that we need to run our election equipment. But I don't have access to that source code. If Mr. Rubin wants to examine it, he needs to talk to Diebold.
So even in a disputed election, you could never go and say to Diebold, hey, there are, aside from myself, there are some people who want to open this up. You don't have that authority.
Well, I've told them on other occasions that they have to, because we do security analysis of the system, and we hire companies to look at the processes and the code and give me an evaluation. Is everything in place that should be in place from a security point of view? And a couple of them have said no, and we've corrected what we had to correct, and we've told Diebold to correct what they had to correct. But Mr. Rubin has written a book. I'm sure he'd like to sell more copies of it. He has probably single-handedly done more to erode voter confidence in this voting system. And frankly, I don't have any confidence in him.
Okay. Just one more question regarding the fixes, because you've used the machines in 2004. There were some issues, right? There were some screen freezes. There were some glitches.
Well, I mean, we have 19,000 voting units that we deploy in the state of Maryland. I challenge you to find a voting system anywhere in the country in use that didn't have some issues. It's not a perfect world. And for you all, the press, to say, oh my God, we had 3 screen freezes and a catastrophe has just happened, is ludicrous.
Well, the reason we ask those questions is because if there are problems with the machine, Diebold claims to make the fixes. And so my question to you is, as the head of the state board, how do you know if they've made the fixes if you can't see the software? Or have someone from your office verify?
You're getting confused. There's
I'm
several
not
different kinds of
about
software.
Well, let's say the tabulation software or even the memory card software. You can't verify necessarily that the fixes have been made.
No, we have access to and see all the executable code. That's entirely different from the source code.
Right.
The source code is sort of this thing down here that's then transformed into executable code. We see the executable code, we test it, we evaluate it, we have our independent verification and validation folks look at it, we have security people look at it, we have a quality assurance person on contract that looks at it. That's the meat of the voting system, and that's what we have examined, and that's what we do tests on. Source code is almost irrelevant to us because that's not what we use to run this voting system. It's the executable code.
And I understand, and it's my understanding that the source code is the layer beneath the executable code.
Correct.
And that really is the meat of the machine because...
What? That's correct.
Well, but yeah, the source code really, once the executable code, and if I vote...
But
and
the ITAs look at the source code.
Okay.
And then they take it and convert it to the executables, and that's what we get.
All right, so you don't want to talk about the source code issues at all?
No.
It's not relevant that we know that the source code has been viewed?
Yeah, the ITA did it.
Okay.
And that whole system has been taken over by the National Institute of Standards and Technology in partnership with the Election Assistance Commission. And we are, because I'm participating in this, we have written new standards against which the voting systems are going to start being tested next year. And I am participating in another project with the Election Assistance Commission to write management guidelines covering security and other issues for election officials across the United States.
The reason, honestly, why I ask the questions about the source code is because there are a lot of people out there, officials and computer scientists, who say even if the machines are secure, when those memory cards are taken to the tabulator and the tabulator counts the votes, we don't know how the votes are counted. The state doesn't know. The state has not been able to see the source code, and so it's an issue of voter confidence.
I think you're in fantasy land. So I'm
Well,
sorry.
I
think
not
I
in
want to end this.
I'm not in fantasy. I have just a couple more questions.
No.
You don't want to? I have a couple more
No.
questions.
That's what they'll air.
Well, I don't know why you don't wish to continue this. I'm asking legitimate questions related to the Diebold voting systems.